2:17 AM. आपकी आंख अचानक खुलती है. Not fully awake, not fully asleep. बस इतना होश है कि कमरा कुछ अजीब लग रहा है. Too quiet, maybe even too still. आप उठने की कोशिश करते हैं. Nothing. Your arms won't move, your legs won't move. ऐसे लगता है जैसे किसी ने आपके सीने पर पत्थर रख दिया हो. And then you notice someone standing in the corner. A silhouette, motionless, watching. आप पलकें झपकते हैं. Maybe you're dreaming, maybe you're imagining it. लेकिन जब आप दोबारा देखते हैं, वो अब भी वही है. Your heartbeat quickens, you shut your eyes for a moment. 1 second, 2, 3. Then you look again and the corner is empty, gone. Relief washes over you. But then your eyes drift towards the mirror. और उस लम्हे कुछ महसूस होता है. Something isn't right. Because the figure in the mirror looks exactly like you. I'm your host Anusha and this is Folklore Decoded. आज हम बात करने वाले हैं 2 ऐसी पैरानॉर्मल एंटिटीज़ की जो कभी मिली नहीं है, जिनके कल्चर्स ने कभी एक दूसरे से स्टोरीज बोरो नहीं की, फिर भी दोनों एक ही डर के गिर्द घूमती नजर आती हैं. द बू हैग ऑफ द गुल्ला पीपल एंड चाइना's eerie mirror double, the Ying Mo. Let's begin in the coastal regions of South Carolina and Georgia. Home to the Gullah people, descendants of enslaved West Africans who preserved countless traditions, beliefs, and stories despite centuries of displacement and oppression. Among these stories lurk a creature feared for generations, the Boo Hag. Unlike many ghosts, the Boo Hag isn't exactly dead, और वो पूरी तरह इंसान भी नहीं है. According to folklore, the Boo Hag is a witch-like spirit that has no skin, no protective layer, no disguise, just raw, red flesh. Because of this, it is said to hide during the day and wander at night. But what does it want? Not money, not valuables, not blood. It wants your energy, your breath, your vitality. According to the legend, the Boo Hag slips through cracks in doors, windows, and even keyholes. It enters your room while you sleep, and it sits on your chest and feeds. The next morning, the victim wakes up exhausted, drained, as if to spend the entire night fighting an invisible battle. For many people listening, this might sound familiar. The feeling of waking up, unable to move, feeling a presence nearby, a crushing weight on the chest. Today we might associate these experiences with sleep paralysis. लेकिन गुल्ला folklore में इसका जवाब medical नहीं था. It was spiritual. Something had visited you. Something had fed on you. And if you weren't careful, it would come back. Now let's travel thousands of miles away to China, a civilization with centuries of folklore surrounding mirrors, reflections, and the soul. In many traditions, mirrors were never considered ordinary objects. They reflected more than appearance. They reflected truth, spirit, identity. और कुछ कहानियों में they reflected things that shouldn't exist at all. This brings us to the Ying Mo, also known as the mirror double. According to various legends, every reflection carries the possibility of becoming something more, something independent, something alive. In some stories, the reflection merely watches. In others, it begins to imitate imperfectly. A slight delay, a strange expression, a movement that shouldn't have happened. And in the darkest versions of the tale, the reflection eventually stops copying you altogether. Because it no longer wants to reflect you, it wants to replace you. Suddenly, the most familiar face in your life becomes the most frightening, your own. At first glance, these legends seem completely unrelated. One attacks sleeping victims, the other hides behind glass. One comes from African-rooted Gullah traditions, the other emerges from Chinese beliefs surrounding mirrors and the soul. Yet the similarities become striking once we look deeper. दोनों कहानियाँ उस वक्त हमला करती हैं जब इंसान सबसे ज़्यादा वल्नरेबल होता है, जब होश और बेहोशी के दरमियान एक लकीर धुंधली हो जाती है, जब आपको खुद अपनी आंखों पर भरोसा नहीं रहता. The Boo Hag appears while you're asleep. The Ying Mo appears when you're alone with your reflection. Both stories thrive in moments of uncertainty, moments when reality suddenly feels unstable. और दोनों कहानियाँ एक और गहरे डर को छूती हैं, the fear of losing yourself. The Boo Hag takes something from inside you, your strength, your vitality. Meanwhile, the Ying Mo doesn't want your energy. It wants something far stranger, your face, your identity, the very thing that tells the world who you are. What's even more fascinating is how these stories developed. एक तरफ African-rooted Gullah traditions, दूसरी तरफ हजारों साल पुरानी Chinese folklore, different continents, different histories, different worldviews, और फिर भी दोनों कहानियाँ हमें एक ही चीज़ से डराती हैं. How is that possible? One explanation is that these legends emerged from experiences shared by all human beings. Everyone dreams, everyone sees reflections. Everyone experiences moments where reality feels uncertain. A shadow in the corner of your eye, a strange dream that feels too real, the feeling that someone is watching even when you're alone. Human beings have always searched for explanations, and when answers weren't available, stories filled the gaps. The details changed, the fear remained. Psychologists today often talk about something called the uncanny, that unsettling feeling when something looks almost normal, almost familiar, almost human, but not quite. The Ying Mo embodies that perfectly, a reflection that's slightly wrong. The Boo Hag does too, an unseen presence hiding just beyond perception. Neither relies entirely on violence, they rely on discomfort, the slow realization that something isn't right. And perhaps that's what makes them so memorable, not the monster itself, but the uncertainty it leaves behind. So, what do these legends ultimately tell us? Maybe the Boo Hag and the Ying Mo aren't really about supernatural creatures. Maybe they're about trust. Trusting our eyes, trusting our minds, trusting ourselves. Because once those things begin to crack, even slightly, the ordinary becomes terrifying. A bedroom becomes a hunting ground, a mirror becomes a doorway, and the face staring back at you becomes a stranger. आज रात जब आप किसी अंधेरे कॉरिडोर में किसी मिरर के सामने से गुजरे, chances are you'll glance at your reflection and keep walking. Most people do, लेकिन शायद एक सेकंड के लिए आप रुक जाएं. बस इतना सोचने के लिए, what if the reflection wasn't copying you? What if it was learning from you? And what if one day it decides it doesn't need you anymore? I'm your host Anusha, and this was Folklore Decoded. Until next time.